This was page 34 in our notes. We had already done the top part, so I'm just going to continue on. The top part, we got to that point that you could do problems 1 through 11, so I'd like to finish with our notes here, just going down here. So continuing on, this is continuing on with page 34. We were just finishing up with 0. It's not positive or negative, it's its own opposite. So now I want to talk about an example about how 0 is greater than any negative number. So it's greater than -1, -2, -3, etc. And how does that work? So if I draw a number line here, and I put 0, -1, -2, -3, and so I like to remember this: left is less. So left is less. All these numbers to the left are less than 0. So that means 0 is greater because it's to the right. So I'd like to write it is greater, and then BC in my notes means because it is to the right. And that's on a horizontal number line. So what if I say 0 is also greater than these, but I draw a vertical number line? So I'm going to trace this red line over here to make my vertical number line. And 0 is here, and then this is -1, -2, -3. So we talked about left is less. Well, on a vertical number line, lower is less as well. Lower is less. So let me move this over so you can see that. Lower is less. So then why is 0 greater? Because it's above all of these. I kind of think of like 0 as like the dirt, and you're digging down into the dirt, you're getting further into the negatives. So 0, it is greater, and then BC in my notes means because it's above these numbers. So needing to understand how you can use number lines to determine if numbers are greater or less than each other. The next part of our notes we're getting into is inequalities. Inequalities, and when you hear the word inequalities, you have to know that it's greater than, less than, equal to. And a lot of people get these signs confused, which one's less than, which one's greater than. And a good way to remember that is my sloppy L's, less than, is the same as your less than sign. So this is going to help us when we get into inequalities here. So you're going to have some inequalities that look like this, where you've got -3, and then they give you this box to fill in the inequality compared to 3. You've got -4, and then you got to fill in this box compared to -2. They're going to give you one -2, and then a box to fill in compared to -3. So you could draw number lines to help you with this, and some people can just see that -3 is less than 3 because it's a negative number, and so it's easy to say, yeah, I know it's less than. I can fill that in. -4 and -2 make it kind of tricky, so that might be one where you want to draw like a little number line here. And you don't have to have a lot of numbers on your number line. -1, -2, -3, -4, you can kind of see it going 2, 3, 4. If this is -1, -2, -3, -4. So if you're kind of looking and comparing these numbers, -4 and -2, well, -4, we talked about left is less. So it's further to the left, so it's actually less than -2 to fill in your inequality. Maybe you're looking at -2 and -3, and so if I were to kind of draw this one here, let's see, -3, -2, -1, and this would be 0 here. If you're looking at -2 compared to -3, -2 is actually right of -3, so that means it has to be greater because we talked about left is less. So -2 is actually greater than -3. So you can use number lines to help you to determine how to fill in the inequalities. Some of your directions are going to ask you to draw a horizontal number line. So you need to draw a horizontal number line to represent each set of numbers. So you need to know how to draw number lines. Horizontal, you need to know that horizontal number line is going like side to side, looking at the horizon. Vertical would be like up and down. So the first one says you need to draw a horizontal number line. Number 1 says from -4 to 2. So horizontal, you got to go sideways. You could trace this blue line here. -4 to 2, so if this was -4, coming this way would be -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. So from -4 to 2, meaning you have to put a dot on -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. A dot on each one because it's from this one to 2. If it said like in between them, then you wouldn't put the dots on these ones because you had to have the ones that are in between. This one is just from -4 to 2 and drawing a horizontal number line. The second example says odd numbers that are in between -4 and 2. So how does this change when I'm drawing this number line here? Well, it's only the odd numbers, so you need to know your odd numbers. You still have to put all of these on the number line. You can't just -2, skip around 0, 1, 2. But if you're only putting dots on the odd numbers, then you need to make sure they're odd numbers and they're in between. So they can't be on either one of them, which they wouldn't anyways because these are even numbers. So the odd numbers that are in between them would be -3, -1, and +1. So they're odds and they're in between. You still have to include the other numbers on your number line. You have to have your scale going. You can't just skip randomly on your scale.